Imagine a landscape painted entirely in shades of yellow, a vast, undulating sea of dust that stretches as far as the eye can see. This is the Loess Plateau, 640,000 square kilometers of wind-blown sediment that holds the story of Chinese civilization in its grains. For thousands of years, winds from the Gobi Desert have carried fine particles of silt and clay. These particles settled across northern China, accumulating layer by layer to create this unique geological formation. Some deposits reach depths of over 300 meters. This dust has a remarkable property: it's incredibly fertile when properly managed. The fine particles hold nutrients and moisture, creating soil that can support abundant agriculture. But this same quality makes it vulnerable to erosion. The Yellow River, China's second longest waterway, owes its name and color to this plateau. Each year, it carries approximately 1.6 billion tons of Loess sediment downstream. This sediment has both enriched and threatened civilizations for millennia. Around 8,000 years ago, Neolithic peoples discovered this fertile land. They settled in the river valleys, beginning what would become one of humanity's longest continuous civilizations. The Yangshao culture left behind painted pottery that tells their story. These early farmers developed terrace farming techniques that would define the plateau's agriculture for centuries. By cutting steps into the hillsides, they created flat planting surfaces that conserved both soil and water. The Zhou dynasty, rising around 1046 BCE, established their heartland here. They developed sophisticated irrigation systems and agricultural practices that supported a growing population. Their success demonstrated the plateau's potential. But as populations grew, so did pressure on the land. Forests were cleared for farmland and fuel. The very stability that made Loess fertile began to work against it. Without tree roots to hold it together, the soil became vulnerable. The Qin dynasty, famous for unifying China and building the Great Wall, accelerated this transformation. Massive construction projects and agricultural expansion removed vegetation cover across vast areas of the plateau. By the Han dynasty, the consequences began to show. Historical records describe increasingly severe flooding along the Yellow River. The sediment load had increased dramatically, raising the riverbed and making floods more destructive. The Tang dynasty witnessed both the plateau's golden age and the beginning of its environmental crisis. Chang'an, their capital near the plateau's edge, became the world's largest city, supported by the region's agricultural output. But this prosperity came at a cost. Population pressure led to cultivation of increasingly steep slopes. Without proper terracing, rainfall began washing away the precious topsoil, creating deep gullies that still scar the landscape today. The Song dynasty faced catastrophic floods that would reshape Chinese history. In 1048 CE, the Yellow River changed its course dramatically, flooding thousands of square kilometers and displacing millions of people. This disaster was directly linked to Loess erosion. As more soil washed into the river, the sediment load became unsustainable. The riverbed rose higher than the surrounding farmland, creating what engineers call a hanging river. Dynasty after dynasty attempted to control the Yellow River. Emperors mobilized hundreds of thousands of workers to build dikes and dredge channels. But each solution created new problems as sediment continued to accumulate. The Ming and Qing dynasties saw the environmental degradation accelerate. Population growth forced farmers onto marginal lands. Traditional terrace maintenance declined as resources were stretched thin. By the 19th century, the plateau had lost much of its forest cover. European travelers described a yellow desert where dust storms could darken the sky for days. The land that had fed empires was now struggling to feed itself. The 20th century brought both catastrophe and awakening. In 1931, one of history's deadliest floods killed between 1.4 million people along the Yellow River. This disaster forced a reckoning with centuries of environmental mismanagement. After the Communist Revolution, Mao Zedong launched ambitious campaigns to transform the land. The grain-first policy encouraged clearing even more land for agriculture, accelerating erosion in the short term. But by the 1970s, the consequences were undeniable. Satellite imagery revealed the extent of soil loss. The plateau was contributing nearly 90% of the sediment in the Yellow River, and fertility was declining rapidly. In the 1990s, China launched one of the world's largest ecological restoration projects. The Grain for Green program paid farmers to plant trees instead of crops on steep slopes. Millions of hectares were converted back to forest. Terrace engineering saw a renaissance, but with modern technology. Engineers designed sophisticated systems that maximize water conservation while minimizing erosion. These new terraces can increase crop yields while protecting the soil. Check dams became another crucial tool. These small barriers across gullies slow water flow, allowing sediment to settle. Over time, they create flat land that can be farmed, while reducing sediment reaching the Yellow River. The results have been remarkable. Satellite data shows significant reduction in sediment entering the Yellow River. Some areas have seen sediment loads drop by over 50%, reducing flood risk downstream. But challenges remain. Climate change brings more extreme weather, including intense rainfall that can still cause erosion. Balancing ecological restoration with the needs of 50 million people living on the plateau requires careful planning. Traditional knowledge is being rediscovered and combined with modern science. Ancient water conservation methods, documented in historical texts, are being adapted for contemporary use alongside satellite monitoring and computer modeling. The plateau's story offers lessons for the world. It demonstrates how civilizations can thrive in fragile environments, but also how easily that balance can be lost. The relationship between humanity and the land is always a negotiation. Today, researchers study the plateau as a laboratory for sustainable development. They're developing new approaches that could help other regions facing similar challenges of soil erosion and desertification. The Yellow River continues to flow, carrying less sediment than it has in centuries. Its changing color reflects humanity's evolving relationship with the land, from exploitation to understanding, from destruction to restoration. Ancient Chinese philosophers spoke of harmony between heaven, earth, and humanity. The Loess Plateau's history shows both the consequences of ignoring this balance and the possibilities of restoring it. As we face global environmental challenges, the plateau's story reminds us that no civilization exists separately from its environment. The dust that built empires also carried warnings that went unheeded for too long. Yet there is hope in the green shoots appearing on once barren hills, in the terraces that hold both soil and tradition, in the river that runs a little clearer each year. The plateau teaches that restoration is possible even after centuries of damage. The Loess Plateau stands as a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. From the first farmers who carved terraces into yellow hills to the engineers designing sustainable systems today, this land continues to shape and be shaped by those who call it home.